All right. Welcome back to the BG Perform podcast. I got my co-host, Coach Jerry Hayes here.
Yes,
Today,
sir.
we're going to be talking about awareness and fitness and how wearables and other things that are supposed to enhance awareness can be detrimental and how they can be actually beneficial and how we can kind of implement them into our lives and see a lot of benefits from them. And yeah, we'll get into it. But before that, new feature, if you're watching, oh, wrong side.
Yeah. Stupid.
Um, we have a ultimate timer now, so we can time down the AM tap, so you don't have to listen to the guy speaking on the one that I already have. And we're gonna
Also,
love.
if you're watching, you could follow along and see like
Yeah,
how we pace it.
you can see how far over we go. And
Hmm.
oh, this is just time's just a construct, man.
It's just a
It's,
construct, man.
it's just a construct.
It's meant to hold
Yeah,
you
so we're going to talk
back.
about awareness, and we are going to kind of dive into that stuff with the wearables, why it's so important, how they can be useful, and like I said, there's so many different pieces that go into this. So are you ready? Start this thing?
So ready.
All right.
Always.
We'll have our countdown though. So I'm just gonna go three, two, one, start. All right.
There we go. That's our
So
whistle.
awareness and fitness. So I think if you guys followed me for a little bit, one of my pillars, my number one pillar in fitness is awareness because without it, we really don't have an understanding of what needs to be improved on a day-to-day basis. And I think that for a lot of people, awareness brings them the literally just brings them focus, right? If you're aware of the things that are going on in your life, if you're aware of the things that you need to improve on, then, in regards to we'll keep it in the fitness realm, your workouts get better, your results get better. Physically, you're gonna, improve. Mentally, you're gonna improve because you're working on those things that are actually bringing your baseline up a little bit higher. And I think where a lot of coaches go wrong is one, they're not aware, and two, they instill this like these shortcuts of awareness into their clients or athletes, right? And that's where we start to get this influx of, I think, the fitness wearable market. But I want to hear your thoughts because I think before we get into the wearables, to me, awareness is one of these single most important aspects of fitness. And like I said, without it, we can't really ever make true progress because without it, we don't really know where we're going or how we're going to get there, And I think with awareness, it's literally as simple as thinking about it, starting to think about it. So I guess, your thoughts on it and where you see it lacking in a lot of your clients.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, awareness is like really big, and it's like you said, it's the foundation. So if you're not aware of how you feel physically, how you're recovering, how you've been performing, um, you're kind of going to be left in the dark with how you should perform in the following days. Um, that's one of those things that I always talk to my clients about from the beginning is if you wake up and you feel like a lot more sore or you feel like you tweaked something or like you just feel like something's off, kind of do a little body scan, reassess what you did the day before and see how it's affected you that day. But then I've had discussions with my clients where they'll wake up and they'll text me and say like, "Hey, I have this today. Can I push it off until tomorrow?" Um, Sometimes like moving a rest day can even be something that's important to do. But as far as awareness and how it affects everyone individually, like for me, obviously I've had injuries in the past that I know of, I'm aware of. I have areas that are a little more prone to re-injury. So with those, I have to pay attention to them and see how I'm feeling prior to any exercise that I do that day, specifically my shoulder and hip. Those are the two areas that give me the most trouble. So I'm always trying to be extra aware of those joints as well. Um, but I think the biggest thing is knowing when to pull back and when to push forward based on how you're feeling that day.
Yeah, I think so. When we talk about fitness, like those are very specific to fitness, right? And those are very specific
Hmm.
aspects to what someone would do in inside the gym, right? You know, even a deeper level to that, because all that's really good stuff. I think an even deeper level to that is awareness of how you react to certain situations, awareness to what happens if you put yourself in an environment, in a stressful environment, in a relaxed environment. Because a lot of these things, right? I think with fitness, a lot of that awareness stuff, if you have a great coach or you have a great program, can be kind of controlled in that environment. And you don't really have to worry about it. I think one of the biggest things, I guess, and maybe, well, it wasn't wrong, right? I want to
Hmm.
take this a direction of like outside of just because I think what a lot of people look for in wearables, right, or in technology is the thought that they're going to get insight, obviously, into how they're feeling. But I think what they're kind of truly after is usually numbers that aren't that accurate already, right? Because
Hmm.
a lot of the stuff you got to understand with these tests and these things, they're not inside the body. And really, the most, I guess, accurate way we'd say is getting inside the body. And it's not really realistic. It's expensive, and they've created ways that are okay, but they're not like the best.
Hmm.
And with these sensors that they have, they're basically based around the heart rate and heat temperatures, and then they have equations based on how much you move throughout a day, how much you move throughout a week, how consistently you move, the times that you move, all that stuff, and then they start to build a picture of ourselves that it hands back to us, right? And I think what happens a lot of times is people get so hyper focused on those things, and I was one for a while because I remember I had a stretch. Most I wouldn't say most like because I needed it, mostly because I wanted to try them all and I wanted to do a couple reviews. Which I had the Oura Ring, I had the
Hmm.
Whoop, and then I also had like an Apple Watch at the time, and I was just trying to play around with all of them. I was super aware. That's hyper aware.
I'm
I was aware of
super aware.
everything. I was
X-ray
aware of
vision.
every step. I was aware of every breath, every heartbeat. No, but when I had
Your Apple Watch is like, in 10 seconds you will fart. And you're like, how do you know?
I was I was so aware that they were telling me the future. But yeah, so when I had all these, you know, I went through this phase of loving them, and I still, to a certain degree, I still do use them. And the only reason I don't still have my Whoop is because I got robbed in Brazil, and I was so pissed because I was like, "You really want my Whoop, bro?" I was like,
It's not gonna work for
"There's
you.
literally nothing on it. Like it's not even a watch." And he just made me take it off because he didn't understand me. But anyways, so that's really the only reason I don't have my Whoop, right?
That guy was so pissed. He's like, this guy was wearing a fake watch.
Yeah, fucking loser. I hope he gets burned. I don't
Oh
even know.
my God.
I hope bad things happen to him. But anyways,
In game. In
yeah.
game.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, when you're wearing this type of stuff, it gives you so much information. And I think that even myself, someone who's an experienced person in the fitness industry, it can be overwhelming and it can be very, very controlling at times because you fall victim to like what the thing says. And I think a
Hmm.
lot of times it was like, okay, you have bad sleep. I will say this. I was never one who would like follow it to the T regardless. Like if it told me I had bad sleep and I was meant to work out that day, I was gonna work out that day.
I was doing the
Okay.
same thing. I
It
didn't listen
wasn't
to it at
wasn't
all.
yeah, it was more about like, okay, am I tired or whatever. And then the calorie tracking and some of the other there was like the HRV and things like that that I was paying attention to. But I think with a lot of this stuff was actually in sleep tracking. That was one of the biggest things, just in general, just to look at the sleep. But I think what happens to a lot of people is they look at these things and they look at the data it gives back, and they're so unaware of their bodies that when it tells them something, they just that's it.
Hmm.
You're tired today. It's like, okay, I'm tired today. I'm tired today.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Not doing anything else. I'm tired today. And you wake up, and some days you have those red scores, or I'm gonna say red scores because generally, if any of those things are uh being used, there's some type of red number associated with like
Yeah,
the
red
bad
is
number.
never good. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, ex so when you look at these numbers, you know, it's very easy to look at a number that's bright red saying no recovery and be like, all right, I'm tired. Now I'm not going to do anything the rest of the day. It's also very easy to look at a green number and be like, oh, all right, I'm super energized and recovered, and I'm going to do a lot of training. You know, I think the thing that we have to start to fall in line with these wearables is if you are wearing one, know that they are beneficial, right? I think a lot of this stuff is very beneficial. Anything that can give us more insight into us as humans and us in performance is going to be beneficial in some way. Just don't fall victim to something that's not that accurate, right? And the way you do that is to really understand yourself first, understand, what environments are best for you, what training is best for you. When you wake up, what does it feel like to actually feel like super tired, right? And what does it feel like to wake up and feel energized, right? I would
Mhm.
say, you know, simple things we can kind of we'll get into for testing or for how do I put this? Just tools to kind of wake up and be like, all right, am I rested, right? Or am I needing a little bit more? I want to ask you first though, what's your experience with wearables and that whole thing before we dive into the next piece?
Yeah, so I had I had an Oura Ring for a little bit, so I was using that. I never got Whoop, just because I personally wasn't a fan of the membership thing. Otherwise, I probably would. But with the Oura Ring, I noticed, especially like when I had like during the pandemic odd jobs, I would wake up and it'd be like, oh well, you're 50% recovered or 49% recovered. And I would wake up like being like, oh, I can't wait to see my score. I feel good. And then I'd see that and it would get in my head.
Mhm.
Um, and there were some days where I'd wake up and be like, oh man, I'm so tired right now. And I'd look and it was a bad score and be like, yup, that makes sense. But it just takes me a minute to wake up. Like I'm a zombie. I have like a 45-minute rule. It's like, please don't talk to me for like 45 minutes after I wake up. Um, so like that's my time to wake up and become a human and not like an angry, sleepy person.
Yeah,
So if I see that bad score when I know that I'm tired, I'm going to carry on that tired attitude throughout the day because I'm very influenced by it.
yeah,
But again, like I've had those days where it's like, yeah, you're 50% recovered, take it easy today. And I've
yeah.
gone to the gym and I hit a PR and I'm like, what the hell was that? Like, why would you why would you tell me that I'm not recovered? Um, and I think that sometimes like even though let's say that it's the most accurate measurement tool you have, right? It's off of Bluetooth. If that thing disconnects from your phone or like the signal gets a little weird, it's gonna give you weird numbers. Like it's not like it's hooked up to like a hospital bed power supplied measurement system.
Mhm.
So that's another thing
A lot of
is
them do a really good job now of like saving that data and sending it after. But I understand. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
yeah. Yeah, but then like it's again with wearables, I'm one of those people that it does get in my head and I found that I started improving in my fitness and in life when I stopped wearing it. But I
Mhm.
have clients that I've told like, yeah, try it out, see how it feels, and they love it. Like they're
Yeah.
all about it.
Well, I think like one of the things you mentioned is like and this is one of the things I want to talk about is because I think wearables can be very beneficial. And like you said, they can give you all this information if you have the right steps in place around it, right? I think, one of the things for me, when I wake up, I for the most part, I don't care if I'm resting or not. I get up and I like do what I gotta do. But
Mm-hmm.
I definitely I feel it. Like this morning when I woke up, I was a little bit tired. I was a little bit fatigued. Like I can feel there's a couple things I don't want to say do because I don't have like exact steps that I'm like, oh, I wake up and I look this way and like it's I'm no, but I wake up and I can kind of feel right away. Is it hard to keep my eyes open? Am I like fighting to go back to sleep? That's kind of one of the first things. Am I waking up and I'm like, ugh, like kind of fighting to go back to sleep, like not really excited to get out of bed. You know what I mean? And no one's
Mm-hmm.
really excited to get out of bed at early hours of the morning. But when it comes time, so one of the things that's very normal for me that I feel is like cold. If I'm tired, I'll feel like extra sensitive to cold because I usually
Mm.
have my room like very, very cold. Jerry knows because we're,
Oh, I'm the
we're
same way. We're
both
talking
hot. You
63.
know? Yeah, yeah. And for me, I love being in the cold and like it's very comforting to me to be in the cold. But I can tell when I'm either tired or like getting sick that I wake up and I'm like sensitive to it, like super
Mhm.
sensitive to it. So it's something where I'm like, okay, like maybe I need a little bit of rest, whatever. Um, Something else that usually affects me is like the when I get up, you know, do I have to? It's something simple as like, do I have to go to the bathroom right away? You know, is it something where I wake up and am I feeling like I need to go to the bathroom right away? Am I feeling like, I don't? So one of those things is something that is usually a good test for me to be like, all right, am I feeling tired or not? Am I hungry? How hungry am I when I wake up? Sometimes I don't really usually eat before I work out, but sometimes I'm fucking starving in the morning. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. I just, have some water. But I think with all of these are very like immediate things that I feel when I wake up, right? But I've always noticed no matter whether I'm tired, whether I'm, well rested, the first 30 minutes of my day in that moment when I wake up is like the most important because like you kind of said, you have like a 45-minute rule, like don't talk to me for 45 minutes, whatever, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
may be. For me, if I can get through everything in my 30 minutes, I'd say 30 minutes to an hour because I like to give myself some time in the morning. I'd rather wake up early and have just a little bit of extra time in the morning
Same. Yeah.
and just fucking wake up and have to rush out. And I think that's another thing that a lot of people do that fucks them up. Like you don't even give yourself a chance to feel any of those things to actually understand if you are recovered or if you are energized, right? And I think one of the other things I've tried to do realistically in the first hour of my day is not consume caffeine, not consume any type of caffeine, which I think a lot of people also do, which is they wake up and it's right to the coffee machine or they wake up and it's right to an energy drink. And I used to do it too, and it's
I've been
something.
doing 90 minutes. It's actually made a difference.
Yeah, I know that's something that Huberman talked about
Mm-hmm.
a couple times with like the 90-minute rule. But I just think in general, if you wait a half hour, even a half hour, just wait a little bit. Wait to kind of like build that awareness. And I think one of these things that we talk about with the wearables is that we don't have any type of time to actually like build awareness in what we're doing. So it's just like we're waking up, we're doing what we got, like we're just getting right into the day. We don't have any opportunity to actually feel, are we tired? Are we sore? Are we feeling sick? Are we feeling energized? Are we feeling happy? Are we feeling sad? And I think a lot of this time we just skip it completely. And not even, like I said, to me, something as simple as like, am I sensitive to the cold in the morning, right? Is something for me that's huge because that
Mm-hmm.
that's takes a lot of time to feel that. You don't just, guess it. I guess like, it's pretty common to be sensitive to cold, but I think one of the things that's normal for me that I know is that like I like being cold. So like
Mm-hmm.
if I'm sensitive to it, I must be tired or I must be, not feeling my best. And I think, for you, it's really important for the people that are listening to this that may not understand this, like develop these little senses of awareness throughout the morning that can tell you if you are recovered or at least moving in that right direction. If you cover it with as soon as you wake up, you're going to caffeine and you're pumping caffeine in your body. Within minutes, you're going to feel okay. But the thing is, if you do that enough times for enough days and weeks and months and years, then you get these energy problems, these crashes, these sleeping problems. And lucky enough for me, with the travels that I've done recently in the last 6 months, I've really been able to prioritize my sleep and I've really, because with all the traveling I do, and I travel a decent amount, I don't really, I've yet to really struggle with jet lag. There was once or twice that I like super struggled with jet lag, but that was because we literally went between 3 countries in 2 days, and I think with one of these things that helps me is one, when I get off the plane, that's like right to a gym, and two, I've have such like a time or like a good time schedule it's like as soon as I try to do everything that I can to get to sleep at 10 and wake up at 6 around 6 no matter where I'm at. And that kind of keeps that schedule moving, which is awareness. I know I feel good when I get that amount of time in or at least between that time range of sleep and it helps me. So I think, taking a step back and we started this conversation with like wearables and whatnot. I think wearables have their place once the actual awareness steps are involved, right? Now, I think what what can be said about wearables is if you do not have that awareness set in place and you do have a wearable, I think what you can do is this can kind of streamline your process as to like feeling those things, right? Because if you wake up and it does say like you're not recovered, right? Then you can kind of sit there for a second, take a second, and be like, all right, it's saying I'm not recovered. What am I feeling? Am I feeling not recovered? Am I feeling recovered? Like, where am I, right? Because I think no matter what, like you said, you can have days where you're not recovered and then you hit a workout and you fucking crush it, right? And I've had that
Mm-hmm.
so many times, and that's why part of me didn't listen to it because no matter what, as soon as I got going, I know I felt better, right?
Yeah.
And I think that with a lot of these wearables, they take in the extremes, and you got to understand as well as you, they are taking in data from all over the place around the world, right? And it's all going into one database and then spitting back out and coming back your way as to averages, what they look like. That's like all these numbers are kind of they're individualized around you, but they're also coming from the averages of all different people, weights, heights, sizes, activity levels that are doing this on a day-to-day basis. And that's what makes them so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to understand that sometimes the recovery levels, they might not be adequate around the world, right? Or they might not be adequate in all these different areas. And then it's giving you a number as to the averages of all that stuff. When in reality, you might truly be recovered.
Yeah.
And sometimes with sleep interruption, again, these are not the most accurate things in the world. So they are like, and if you've ever actually looked at one or you have one, obviously you know that it's got the little lasers underneath like the base of the I guess you could say like the main computer chip or whatever. And basically that's firing at like 1,000 uh scans per second or whatever it is, at the highest ones. And it's tracking a lot of the stuff in regards to heartbeat, and like I said, heat signature and whatnot, and that all kind of creates these things that give you those numbers, right? So I say that to say, with awareness being the main tool, right? We have to start there. We have to give ourselves an opportunity to actually feel that stuff and understand. I feel tired because X, Y, and Z, not this thing said I'm tired, so I'm tired, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel energized because of X, Y, and Z, right? Because I think we forget how mental it is because think about the times when we're excited to do things in the morning. You could fucking get 3 hours of sleep and you'd wake up being like, "Oh, let's fucking go." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like going on
That's the
vacation. Like,
adrenaline
yeah,
sleep.
yeah, like you're going on a trip, vacation, or as a kid, like you got something exciting planned in the day. You wake up, you're just like can't sleep at night, but then you get through the entire day, and then you're exhausted at the end of the day. But either way, you know that it didn't matter if it was rain, sun, storm, whatever. You were getting up and you were doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think obviously that's not recommended 24/7, but like that type of thing and that type of awareness is super important to understanding wearables, getting the most out of the wearables, and then understanding your fitness just on a deeper level. And I think one of the things that's super important for people to realize is that, these are businesses, they're made to make money, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think with a lot of them, they're community based. They have a lot of cool features nowadays where they're able to kind of take all these numbers, like I said, and pull them together, and you can compete with your friends and compete with, you know, uh others around the world in different categories. Like I know the Whoop you can make like groups that showed your training, and then you could like join groups from around the world and just see the strain levels and whatnot, which is cool. I think it's really creative and it's unique. But I also think with a lot of that stuff, when you start to test yourself like that and put yourself up against, people who you have no fucking clue what they look like, what they do,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna run yourself into the ground, you know? And I think when we start to really break this down on like talking about the awareness level, if I can give you guys something to take away from this, right? I think we have to start, like I said, with where where does our awareness even start with ourselves? Where are we aware of how we feel when we wake up, when we go to bed, right? Are we aware of what a good night's sleep feels like? Are we aware of what a bad night's sleep feels like, right? I've been, very I guess, in the zone with my sleep lately that I know if I didn't dream much, then I probably didn't have that good of sleep, right? Because if you're familiar with sleep, there's a whole cycle that goes along with it. And that cycle leads to dreaming, which is the REM cycle, which is basically rapid eye movement. And this is a very like cleansing cycle for the body to go through for sleep. This is where a lot of our cells are, we're, I guess, quote unquote, cleaned off, right? And kind of reset. and a lot of our, energy is restored from this process. Even though scientists don't really know why we sleep exactly, like they know that this process does help us restore these pieces of the puzzle, right? And I think with a lot of this stuff, I've been become aware of, like, all right, when I dream, I know I'm at least, getting those REM cycles, right? But then there's some nights I'll dream and I don't remember and I don't feel as good, right?
Mhm.
That's another thing I've noticed too, is like what if I remember my dreams, like I wake up and I remember them, it's like, all right, I think I slept, like I feel like I slept amazing, right? When you dream but you don't quite remember or like put the pieces together of what you were dreaming, that's something for me that I'm like, all right, I had a good sleep, but like I probably could sleep another hour or two, right? And then, if I sleep and I don't dream, I have no recollection of any of that stuff. I probably didn't sleep that well. And then, my recovery or my feeling of that day is, usually um correlated with that, right? But I think on top of that, once you learn these little skills, I also think that awareness of how you can get yourself to feel good in the morning, regardless, is an important task as well, right? Because no matter what, like we both said, we both kind of, we confirmed this between us. Obviously, we need a lot more people, but I think for the most part, we can understand if you get moving in the morning, you're going to feel good, right? And I think for the most part, if you just start moving, you just start working out, you just start getting along on that train, you're going to start to feel good, right? And I think having a morning thing, and it doesn't, I'm not big on routines in the morning because I think a lot of people fucking waste time with them and they just make them so long. And you get these fucking people on Instagram. It's so funny, bro. When you see the ones with the long ass routines and they're like, I went to ice bath, I went to meditate, then I worked out, then I went on a walk. And someone's like, I got
And
fucking
then by
kids.
4 p.m.,
Yeah.
then by 4 p.m., I decide to start my day.
Or that guy, did you ever see the one dude who said he fits 4 days into one day?
I want to hit that guy in the face.
Yeah.
He's
He
like,
was
boom,
like, I start
first
from
first
I
day.
start from 4 a.m. to what was it? 4 a.m. to like 10 a.m. And then
He's
I
like,
do,
that's day one.
yeah, and then he's like 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. and then 8 p.m. to 12 p.m. or something like
You add
that.
that up through the week, I'm gonna kick your butt.
Yeah. He was,
Like, fuck you, man. Then that
yeah.
one guy made fun of me. He goes, yeah, why don't you? My day is 60 seconds.
Yeah.
My day is 1 minute. I'm gonna kick your butt.
No, it's true. Like, you
Yeah.
know, these people, some of these people are ridiculous with this stuff, and especially the morning routines. I think morning routines are very important, but I think they have to be short and to the point, right? Like when I wake up, I do my thing. I'm right to the daily stoic and the journal. And then I'm on my planner, seeing like what I actually have to do for the day. Is there anything I need to get done? Writing out a couple things, just looking at the day in total, looking at my phone just to see if there's any texts over the night. Because now that I'm a little bit ahead, sometimes there's texts later at night as people train, answer any of those. And that takes 10, 15 minutes most. And I'm out the door walking to the gym, right? Or, if I'm not working out, I'm getting some stuff done, relaxing a little bit, reading, whatever. But I have a process of as soon as I wake up, this is what I do. And as soon as I get through that, I'm good, right? If
Mhm.
I struggle with that in the morning, I might need a little bit more time to relax because there's some mornings I wake up and I'm just boom, good, done, going, right? There's some morning I wake up, I'm like, I have to read this passage like 4 times because I've read it and I'm just not retaining any of it. You know what I mean?
That's another mental clarity is another way to tell how rested you are. Like even
Yeah,
yesterday was an example. We were talking about different like processes of physiology, and
yeah,
I just couldn't even pronounce words that my brain was thinking of. The
yeah.
word process I couldn't say. The
I
word
actually have a
process.
very unique one that I noticed too. So I got LASIK 4 years ago, I think at this point. Yeah, I think 4 years ago. I got LASIK. And I notice whenever I don't sleep well, I like cannot see. Like it's just like it's very like things are blurry.
Like your
Like
body's trying to factory reset to save power. Like
I don't know. I
it's
don't know. It might be, but like it's just like when I go outside and I like read things that I can normally read, or like I look at things, I have to kind of like focus on it a little bit more. Things are a little bit blurry that are far away, but when I'm rested, my eyesight is perfect. And I like it's got to be obviously have something to do with the recovery levels or my,
That'll happen to me too, honestly. Like I
yeah,
feel it in my sinuses and in my face. I feel heavy, but even my vision is like a little blurry when I'm tired.
yeah. So I think that's something that I deal with as well. So, I think, well, I don't have like obviously a specific step by step thing to give you guys. I think what we can kind of take away from this conversation is that have something in the morning that you can get to and get through, right? Keep it short, no more than really than 15 minutes. Like I even in the morning, I get up, I read, or I do my journal, I go over my planner. I even do like a 5-minute meditation most mornings, and I brush my teeth and I'm out the door getting ready for the gym, right? And that takes no more than 20 minutes. I think with people who are listening, if you can kind of give yourself a 10 to 20-minute thing in the morning just to kind of set yourself, get yourself up, get yourself going, right? I think that can be huge. And I actually, now I'm saying this, one last thing. One of the biggest things I can tell people that helps them kind of build awareness and, in this space is when it's time to wake up, just get out of bed as quick as possible. If you sit in bed, you're gonna fucking stay there. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
find it in the mornings, I get right up, I'm good. The mornings I'm like, oh, I don't want to move this cover. Like
Dude, 2 hours flies by.
yeah, like those are the days where obviously, you gotta try to force yourself to get up just a little bit quicker and get out. And the best you can, because that's something that helps so much. Oh, there's our time. That goes negative.
Negative time.
I'm gonna pause it. Negative for a second. Actually, should we let it go and see how far we go over? I only have a couple things left to say.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, so I think to kind of sum this up for you guys, and Jerry, I'll let you kind of give some last points as well. Wearables are extremely valuable in a lot of ways, right? But I think they can be detrimental if you don't have awareness of yourself personally, right? So I think one of the first steps here is to start to build awareness in your day-to-day life. How do you feel when you're rested? How do you feel when you're fatigued? How do you feel when you're on caffeine? How do you feel when you're off of caffeine? How does, how does it feel in the morning once you get moving, right? That's a big thing. How does it feel when you're kind of sitting there in the morning and not moving, right? Pay attention to your sleep patterns as much as you can. Are you dreaming? Are you not dreaming? Like these are a lot of steps, but start to take little, personal notes of how these things are going and try to correlate it to the performances you're getting throughout the day, whether it's in the gym or in work or in your relationships and your conversations. Like this type of thing is always going to present itself in a lot of ways and be able to show you like, okay, I am starting to get recovered, or I am starting to feel fatigued, or I am feeling energized. And this is where the wearables can really come in and help because they can give you a little bit more insight as to like, okay, you know, I feel like I'm not sleeping great. You go to your wearable and it's like, yeah, you didn't sleep great. It's like, okay, cool, right? But also not falling, victim to I feel great today. My Whoop, my Oura Ring, my watch says I slept like shit and I'm tired. It's like, okay, I feel great though, so I'm gonna do what I need to do and pay attention to it. Keep it in the back of my mind. Maybe I'm not fully recovered, so maybe I'm not going to go 110% on my workout today, but I'm still going to work out. Right. So I think these are kind of like some steps. And then along with that, obviously, the morning thing, as soon as you get out of bed, as soon as the alarm hits, get out of bed and just try to get moving, have a short 10 to 20-minute routine and get your day started from there. Any last minutes things?
Yeah, I would just say you basically touch on everything. Like it's important and they're useful, but it's not the end all be all. What it is just a tool, and it's meant to help you further understand what recovery should feel like. Um, so using it to assess how you're feeling as a tool, but again, not the determining factor of how you should go about your day, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting topic. I think a lot of people can learn a lot from this because I think I think one awareness is lacking in a lot of ways in the world, but
Hmm.
that's,
There's a
outside
lot
of,
of distractions. Yeah.
yeah.
We
And
can
I
talk
think,
about that forever.
with a lot of this stuff, there's so much beneficial information from these things. It's just you got to use them the right way. And I think to use them the right way, you have to have an actual understanding of yourself and what you need and how to get the best out of these things because, it's just like a cell phone, like
Hmm.
I'm addicted to my phone. Everybody's addicted to their phone, right? And I think, one of the ways that can help you is having a purpose when you go on your phone, not just going on your phone to go on your phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, for me, I've been going through this battle for the last, 2 or 3 years, right? It was ever since I started with like the social media stuff with fitness.
Mm-hmm.
I never used to be on my phone. I never used to go on Instagram. I just did any of that stuff. And then I had to, and it's just been a downhill spiral from there. But the awareness factor of like understanding that and being able to put things into place that can help me kind of rid of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I hope this helps. I hope this serves you in some way. I hope you get something out of this. And if you did, or you need to talk about it a little bit more, obviously reach out. We're both on, you can reach out to us on Instagram, or what else we got? I got TikTok, Facebook, but Instagram.
Instagram's best way.
Yeah. I'm going to be throwing this up on YouTube today and also Spotify. So definitely check this out. Check out the YouTube channel, subscribe to it, follow us. We got basically a new podcast episode every single week coming for the rest of this year. My goal was to do 52 episodes this year. So we're gonna have to kick it up. Maybe we'll have to do a couple extra
Fuck
episodes.
it. Let's do it.
But, yeah. And then trying to think, you got anything planned or coming up? Anything coming up big?
Nothing big. Just figuring out that new LA schedule and
Yeah.
lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, and then outside of that, we got the programs. If you guys haven't checked them out yet, we have Dinner Party, we have Transcend, we have the Fight Camp in and off camp, which we're going to be upgrading and updating a little bit. We also have what else? What am I
Weight
missing? Oh,
loss.
weight loss program, and then I'm also going to be working on a new program for women over 35. I'm excited about this one. I haven't really announced this one yet. This will be the first time. So if you listen all the way to the end,
That's a sneak peek right there.
you know what I want to start doing for content that I want to try
Put some
is
shit at the very end.
like Marvel.
Yeah, keep them to the end credits.
I just
But
I've
then they can just fast forward. You got to hide it in there.
well on
It's a
Instagram you can't really fast forward.
mid credit scene.
I don't know, but I've been thinking about it ever since I watched Deadpool. I gotta try to think about how to implement that into programming or into
Viewer
the,
retention.
the media.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about it off here. But thank you guys for tuning in. If you've listened this far, we always appreciate your ears. We wish we had more of your ears. We're going to continue to build this thing up, and we will talk to you soon.
Be aware.
Peace.
Peace.